biography of my grandfather, so everybody can compare a life of today with the life of times gone by. He was born and raised in Brunswick, which is now Lower Saxony in Germany. Most people know New Brunswick, but this is the original Brunswick, the town of Brunswick. When he was 18 years old and had to go to the military service, he applied for the Marine Corps, was accepted. His idea behind this was, at that time, Germany still had colonies, and he always dreamed of going to Africa, and to go there you had to join the Marine Corps, which is called in Germany Marine Infantry. He already had received his khaki uniform, his tropical helmet, when the First World War broke out. So he had to trade his khaki uniform for a normal uniform and found himself marching directly to the soon-to-be blood-drenched fields of Flanders, where he stayed for the next 4 years. They literally marched from Wilhelmshaven, where the Marine Infantry was stationed, to Flanders, just to give an example how severe the fighting was. The British had sent in even some Indian Gurkha fighters known for their angular combat knives, so the Marines had to take them out, and before the battle the command sent in large grindstones so they could sharpen their shovels to get in close combat with these fighters. When the year 1916 arrived, he took part in the Battle of the Somme, known as the bloodiest battle in human history. The British remember this very well, because in the first day of the battle they had something like 50,000 casualties only in the first day. I think all in all 1 million soldiers died in this Battle of the Somme. One side effect, when I asked my grandfather why he was using chewing tobacco, he told me, for the sake of the Battle of the Somme, he nearly died of thirst. You couldn't drink one drop of water from the river Somme, because there were so many unburied soldiers lying around. Everything was poisoned with this poison, and all the supply lines were always destroyed by the artillery, so no water came to the front line. When the year 1917 came, he was in these severe battles of Arras and Cambrai. He even not only fought French English but also Canadian soldiers. Towards the end of the war, a few months before the end of the war, he was laying in reserve in a railway station building in the first floor when a grenade from the artillery hit this building and sent him down from the first floor of the building from the second floor to the first floor. He only survived because he was lying in a steel frame bed. He went down with this bed and this saved his life, but he was in this building for 3 days, nearly dying from dehydrating before they found him. And he told me the typical transport of the wounded, first from this side in a horse carriage to the first medical point, with another horse carriage to the first train station, and then the trains only went for a few kilometers, always from one station to the other, and when they transferred the wounded, he told me always the dead were put down on the side of the platform where the train arrived. Those who had survived the travel were put down on the other side of the platform, waiting for the other train to come. And so it took days till he came to Aachen, the first German town, and from there he was transferred to a hospital in Weimar. After that, he recovered but never went to service again. He only served as a secretary till the end of the war. After the war, he married, raised 5 children, and when he really had settled down, he moved in Hamburg he had moved from Brunswick to Hamburg, lived in Hamburg, and moved from the Königstraße to the aptly named Friedensallee, which means Peace Alley, and during the Action Gomorrah in 1943, this home was destroyed. He moved to another home at Palmaille. This again was destroyed, and finally they moved in with another family till the end of the war. He had to see that his son died in what was later known as the Pocket of Demyansk. He died in Vieux-les-Bois in Whitewood, somewhere near the Lake Ilmen in Russia. So from his 18th year to well into his 50s, he only saw the First World War, the Depression, the Second World War, that more than half of his life was war or depression. As I told you, I've known him as a very friendly, giving person. for me, if you have seen his biography, it's a real wonder that he could live on in the way he lived. I learned a lot from him. His hobby was to wandering in the nature, so he took me and my cousins to his walks of the Heather, Lüneburger Heide, and to the Harz. I remember this very vividly because he knew so much about nature and I listened to him a lot. Till today I remember that he always said, when I was 22 years old, I was regarded an old veteran. And he helped me a lot, not only with this Mont Blanc fountain pen. He wasn't a wealthy man. As you can see, he lost during the Depression and then 2 wars. He lost everything. But when I got my first Martin guitar, my first D35, you can imagine who paid for this. In the latter part of his life, he traveled quite a few times to Flanders, to Dixmude. People he had known during the First World War invited him to stay there. He had aided a lot of civilians during the First World War. He always invited me to come with him, but as a young boy, I couldn't imagine to visit war cemeteries and so on, meeting people he had known from the First World War. So I never took the chance to go with him. As a resume, you can see war times had such an impact on these people. They couldn't live their own life. They were thrown into a life and had to function against their will. My grandfather came out of the First World War as a pacifist and remained this to his last day. Okay, this was a little biography of my grandfather. Thanks for listening, and I hope you win one of these